Manipulating Slot Machine Preference Through Contextual Control by Mindy Silverglide. There were three participants in this study. They ranged in age from 37 to 72 with a mean of 51. None of them had a history of a gambling disorder, but this was self reported. Nobody took an assessment. They had no prior exposure to relational frame or contextual control. They were all from a similar educational and socioeconomic status, and it was performed in the home office of the researcher. In this experiment, a within subject pre-test post-test experimental design was used. The independent variable was the introduction of contextual control, with the dependent variable being bet magnitude, latency, and response allocation. Games were chosen. There was one game that had a blue-brown background. This was used for less than and was the targeted game to reduce. The other had a black background and was used with more than. The participants were told to select the game that appealed to them the most, to bet as though they were really playing, even though it was hypothetical. We recorded latency, bet magnitude, response allocation, and losses disguised as wins. This was done for both pre and post training. Contextual control was trained using more than less than during training. Feedback was provided. The mastery criterion was set at 43 out of 48 trials, or 90%, and testing was set at the same. Feedback was not provided during the testing phase. Participants were able to complete all of the pre, post, and contextual control training in one session. Visual analysis was done to show response allocation. You can see that the contextual training was successful in reducing the amount of allocation to the Mountain Flex game for all three participants. In latency to responding, you can see that all three participants slowed down their responses. And in terms of placing the magnitude of the bets, two of the three participants bet less money in the post-training versus pre-training. All of these results suggest that the procedure was in effect efficient in using contextual control to manipulate response allocation. All of the participants completed mastery criterion in one session for both the training and testing phases, and it took approximately an hour for all of the participants to complete the training. The losses disguised as wins was also recorded, and this was explained to the participants after the completion of the study. There are several limitations in the study. There was a small sample size that was not randomized. They were all personal contacts of the researcher. There was no assessment done in terms of determining whether or not any of the participants had a gambling disorder. It was all done via self-report, which can lead to response bias. Additionally, there was an unknown reinforcement schedule. It was completed hypothetically, so completing the study in the natural environment, including a heterogeneous sample size, completing an assessment are all ways to improve upon the study. The implications are that all of the um, contextual control can be used effectively as a treatment for gambling, and it shows that impulsivity is in gambling is situational and not a personality trait.